Hello everyone and welcome to another custom figure showcase and also the, well, technically second edition of custom figure showcase / live from the workshop, TimeLord Victorious, because some of you may know I have previously done the 10th Doctor from the TimeLord Victorious in his TimeLord robes as part of my The 10th Doctor series, which I'm actually doing the last custom of this coming weekend. However, at the time of recording that I didn't plan to do any more TimeLord Victorious customs, but then I found in the bottom of my desk several spare new series Daleks from the many years ago I did a failed challenge, which was a Dalek challenge. I don't want to get into all that because it's very complicated. Needless to say, I'm not doing that anymore. But I had all these Daleks and I forgot about them, and I put them in the bottom of my desk drawer, and that was it. And I found them recently, and it turned out I had enough to do one of each of the TimeLord Victorious Daleks. So I thought, well, in that case, I'm definitely going to make the TimeLord Victorious Daleks, and they are coming as part of this series. I then went through my boxes of spares looking for the few bits I needed, and I realised that not only did I have enough to do the TimeLord Victorious Daleks, but I also had enough to do, as you can see here, the 8th and 9th Doctors. I've also done Brian the Ood, and I may be doing the whatever his name is. I don't have the book to hand. But the main villain, it would seem, of the TimeLord Victorious, or the main species villain of TimeLord Victorious. I may be doing that. I haven't fully decided yet, but as you can see here, we have the 8th and 9th Doctors today. These are basically just your standard repaints. However, I have had to do a little bit more to these because I didn't have any 9th Doctors spare. So what you see here is actually a regenerated 10th Doctor, but with a head cast from a 9th Doctor head that I'd used on another previous custom. I took it off, made a cast of it. So this is a casted head, which I have painted up, and then I've also swapped out his hands and painted them the same colour. And then overall it is just a standard repaint, really. I have obviously gone for the yellow jumper, as we've seen, but I've also given his jacket a slightly, I suppose it would be called a sort of steel blue repaint. Not quite in the same tone as the Dark Eyes 8th Doctor, but it's grey with a hint of blue, and then I've just given it a slightly lighter grey brush over, just to sort of make it look a bit more like it does on the covers of the of some of the TimeLord Victorious things he's in. It is definitely just a lighting thing. I don't think he's got a different jacket on, but it just made it stand out as a custom. It just made it look that little bit different, because otherwise he would have just had a different coloured jumper. So I thought I'll just change that up on it. I was really pleased with the way that came out. And then the 8th Doctor, now obviously the Night of the Doctor 8th Doctors are incredibly difficult to get hold of these days. I've only got, well, I've got two of them, one boxed, one unboxed, and I definitely didn't want to use either of them to do a to make this custom. However, as luck would have it, many months ago, I think even before Christmas perhaps, I was lucky enough to get a spare Night of the Doctor 8th Doctor body from Tom Walker, who you may know on Instagram and Twitter. He does fantastic customs. Please go check him out if you do. If you don't know him, please go and check him out. If you do, then you know well the sort of work he does is absolutely superb. But yeah, so I ended up getting this body in a trade with him. However, he didn't come with a head, and he didn't come with the scarf. So it was sort of in a bit of a rough state, but it didn't matter to me because I was originally planning on using it to make a green-coated 11th Doctor, and it got put in the bottom of my box of spares, and then I never did anything with it. And I'm very glad I didn't, because obviously now it's given me the opportunity to do this version of him from the TimeLord Victorious. So for this, it's obviously the base body, which I've repainted his waistcoat in a sort of slightly pale gold, and I've given it a quite little bit of a brush over of brown to give it a bit of weathering. And then the coat is an overall repaint. I've also repainted his shirt collar and the sleeves to make them a little bit whiter. The head is a cast version that I've made from the standard Night of the Doctor 8th Doctor, which again I've then painted up. And the scarf is actually a Helen Cutter Primeval scarf, but I have trimmed it and sculpted it and put it in place to make it look the part. And it's not perfect, but I think it does the job very well. And they certainly look very good. They look very good next to the 10th Doctor in his robes as well. Yeah, it's a really nice sort of simple one to do if you've got the 8th Doctor spare. But only if you've got it spare. You know, I think it's, if you've got the Night of the Doctor, 8th Doctor in its box or just loose, I would keep them as they are, because they are worth a lot now. So yes, I would say keep them as they are. But when I look at these, as far as we know, at the time of recording, there are no plans for CO to become involved in the Time Lord Victorious, for them to do any kind of, you know, figure releases and things like that. However, if in future we did get any figure releases, and again, I want to stress, I'm not confirming or denying anything here, I'm simply speculating, that if we did get them in future, obviously they are limited as usual to doing slightly new small pieces, but mainly repaints. However, even if we didn't get, which I know he's kind of the main character of it, but I think it's very unlikely we would get the 10th Doctor in the Time Lord robes. The only way I can see that potentially happening is they would retool, and it's not impossible, I will say that it is not impossible, is that they retool a 10th Doctor head to fit into the standard Time Lord body. The collar is painted completely gold, and then the arms on the Time Lord figure are given his pinstriping, and that's what they would do for that. It's not impossible. It would be very inaccurate, but it's not impossible for them to do that. So we could see that in future. It's perfectly possible we could. But I think the two we are most likely to see are these two, and I think we would see these two in a double pack alongside a Dalek, because I won't show them on screen now because they're going to be in a future video, but I have already made the Strategist Dalek, which is the Dead Planet Classic version, which is all grimy and rusty. And then I've also done the standard drone and the time controller, the time commander, sorry. The standard drone being the one with the blue gunbox highlights and the blue globes. The time commander being the one with the silver globes with the blue edging around the rings. And I think these two figures would go very well. You would have the 9th Doctor with the time commander, because I think the time commander would certainly be, it certainly stands out a bit more than the drone because of the blue underrings. And I think it probably would be a straight up repaint, because obviously there are a few little differences here and there on the Daleks. On the Executioner and Scientist, they've obviously got new claws, so that would be a new tooling piece. But on all of them, they have got like new lights on their domes. Now, I think if CO were to release these figures, I don't think they would change up the dome lights necessarily. I think they would just be a straight up repaint. But if you did the Time Commander with the silver globes and the blue rings around the globes and release that with the 9th Doctor, that would be a great 2-pack. And then with the 8th Doctor, obviously, as we know, one of the big Finnish Time Lord Victorious things we're getting is the 8th Doctor. Obviously, is in the big Finnish audios, but then the plots of these stories implies that he's going to be seen with the Time Strategist in at least one of them, and so it makes sense for the Time Strategist to be released, because that is a standard straight up repaint of a Dead Planet Dalek. That's all that would need to be done there. It would be so simple for them to do, because they have all of the tooling already existing. They've got this 8th Doctor, they've got this 9th Doctor, they've got a standard new series Dalek tooling, they've got a Dead Planet Dalek tooling. All they've got to do is repaint them in different colours. So I think if we did see any Time Lord Victorious figures in future, I don't know if we'd see all of them, but if we did see some of them, those are the ones I'm putting my money on, because it seems the most likely to get. And as I said, it's not impossible that we could also see the 10th Doctor, and perhaps we would then see the 10th Doctor alongside the drone. I think when you get into the Scientist and Executioner, that's where I think they're less likely, because they do involve new tooling pieces, whereas all of the others, with the exception of the 10th Doctor needing a new head, could be done using existing toolings and just repaint. So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen. As I said, I'm purely speculating, but I certainly hope it will. Because, as I said, you know, it's always nice to see more sets released. It'd certainly be nice to see some new sets based on the Time Lord Victorious ones. And I know for a fact, even if they just released this 8th Doctor, it would be very popular, because this 8th Doctor is very hard to get hold of now. Even if he wasn't in the standard Night of the Doctor form, I know people would love it if the coat was blue and they could just repaint it green if they wanted. It would be very simple to do. But that brings to a close the first / second in my TimeLord Victorious custom series. These aren't going to be a constantly weekly thing. I'm going to be doing these as and when I finish customs. So keep an eye out for whenever the next one might be coming up. I'm not sure entirely when, but hopefully very soon. As I said, I've already got quite a few finished, so I've sort of want to start doing some more as and when I can. But that brings to a close another custom figure showcase, TimeLord Victorious. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. Make sure the description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation and you can get involved. There's exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and funding my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.